Welcome back to the Spin the Rock podcast. It's playoff season, so if you don't want to miss out on everything big during this postseason, follow us on all social media and then make sure to listen to us on all popular podcast platforms and YouTube.
Hello and welcome to the Spin the Rock podcast. I am your host, and joining me today is
Just Vaughn.
round one is over in 5 minutes. So we're gonna go over some of the games we liked, some of our favorite series, and then we're also gonna get into our main topic today, which is playoff frauds. So Vaughn, what did you think of round one?
Probably some of the craziest upsets in a long time. Like it had almost March Madness vibes to it because not only did the Bucks, the number one seed in the East, lose, they lost in 5 games. That's what I had. I I had it going 5 games, but Bucks would take out the Heat in that many. So to see this kind of collapse is well, it's pretty insane.
I mean that, and also like people are like a lot of people are like not giving the shorter series some their credit, because that also, even though it ended in 5 games, that was also just a really good series to watch. So it's like also surprising to see these like type of upsets and also be entertained by them.
Yeah. I mean, the Grizzlies also kind of made it an entertaining series just by all year long being so overconfident about their abilities and then just getting taken out. I mean, if Eugene were here, he'd be like shooting out confetti and blowing out horns, just El Bozo that whole team, man.
Yeah, I mean, that was another game where I just didn't see it turning out that way. Like I knew the Lakers would win just because, like, let's be honest, the Grizzlies are just like, you never know what you're gonna get out of them playoff wise. But like I didn't expect them to like just have games where it looked like they were blown out like a lot of the time. So it's just like they set records by having the least amount of points in the first quarter. So it's just, I don't know. It was wild to see, but then again, playoff Braun. It was nice to see LeBron James just perform like he always does. All right, and for those who have been just kind of keeping up, what is probably is gonna talk about some more series. So yeah, Bucks and Heat went 5 games with Miami winning 4-1, and then Lakers Grizzlies went 6 games with LA winning 4-2. I want to kind of talk about the Knicks Cavs series, because when
Oh,
everyone saw that first game, everyone was like, "This is gonna be a gritty series, 7 games. There's no way." Like, and then just as like the Knicks won 4-1.
yeah. Like I always thought because Donovan Mitchell has like this personnel around him that's probably been more complementary to his skill set. That I mean, obviously, I thought they were a favorite going in. Most people did. I don't know who had the Knicks winning besides Stephen A. Smith, but I guess they're showing like their youth and how that's coming into play come playoff time. Because even Jarrett Allen was saying the lights were brighter than expected. So definitely something they're gonna have to prepare for next year. I think a big thing was their bench was exposed and how lackluster was because you had like was it Dean Wade and Chetty Osman coming off the bench, and the only
Yeah.
decent guy was like Karis LeVert, and he's not like hitting his shots like half the time.
Okay.
So it was tough to watch.
Yeah, it was just kind of like ins- insane to see a team who's cruising all regular season go down like that. But it's also just interesting to see how good the Knicks actually are. Like Randall and Brunson and Obi Toppin, like they were a lot better than a lot of people expected. So it was just interesting to see that as well, because it's like, I'm not gonna lie, I was one of the few people who are like, this Knicks team is a good team, but I also was one of those people who were like, but they're not going to win a playoff series. So it's like it was just interesting to see how well they performed.
Yeah, they did this. Like, it really is a Jalen Brunson showcase because, well, Knicks won a playoff series. Mavericks didn't even touch playoffs, didn't even touch play-in. So
Yeah.
really, I personally think that massive contract is worth it for this Knicks team, considering.
Hmm.
Uh, but also, a lot of the other guys stepped up. Like Quentin Grimes was really good, and then he got injured, and then Josh Hart came into the game and played good minutes. Like Julius Randle got hurt, and he wanted to come back in, but coach benched him for the rest of the game, and they still won that game against the Cavs. So there was a lot of like next man up mentality for that team.
Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see the Heat and Knicks for sure. I think they played today, and he just came out with the win. Jimmy Butler once again had to become Michael Jordan 2.0. Like that man. I like how he says, "I'm not playoff Jimmy." Like I'm not like special or anything, but like, come on, he becomes a completely different basketball the second April is over, or
Yeah,
March, I
during a regular season, like everyone looks at his numbers, and I always consider him top 10 in the league, and then he wasn't even an all-star this year, and he don't
guess.
really care about that. He's all in on playoffs, and then he hits one of the most legendary stat lines ever recorded in playoff history: 56 points. Like the man is a different breed.
No, for real. It's it's also so wild because like he's like the complete opposite of some people. Some people they do worse in the playoffs, but no, he always does better in the playoffs than he does in the regular season. All right. Celtics, or I guess 76ers Nets will end on Celtics Hawks or East. 76ers Nets. Are you surprised at all?
You know, I said 6 games, and there were 2 games the Nets could have won, except they were just collapsed on themselves.
Yeah.
Like, what was it, the last game they played them? It was a Spencer Dinwiddie turnover, and then led to a Sixers bucket, and then was it Royce O'Neal throwing the ball, like inbounding the ball straight in the Sixers' hands, like that. They ruined my prediction, but it's all right. Big thing from that series is now Joel Embiid was hurt, and he's still not 100% for the coming Celtics series. So
Yeah.
that that could be a big whoopsie daisy from
Yeah.
this next series.
Yeah. I guess a lot of people were saying like it's a good thing because he's gonna get to rest, but also like if he's not 100% by game one, I would be worried because if he isn't healthy, like that's a more of a bad sign than a good like that's more of a bad sign because if he had this much time to recover and he's still not healthy, it might be a lot worse than we think.
I think it was like something in his knee, right? A knee sprain,
Yeah, yeah,
something MCL or something.
yeah.
Oh,
So it's like,
that's a tough one, especially for a big man.
yeah,
They got much more weight, and then he's a shifty center. He's a pretty mobile center, so
hmm
that's really going to affect how he moves defensively and how he's getting to his spot on the offensive end. I think if he misses game one, and they can only really lose one game without him, because if they don't have him the whole series, it's like they might win one game against Boston without Embiid.
yeah, yeah. What's also disappointing is like did Cameron Thomas even touch the court at all? Did he even take off his warm ups? Such a
Yeah,
like
that's like
I don't
this is
know
a
what they
guy.
were thinking.
He's like garnering so much trade attention because like this is a dude who could score 40 points. He did it multiple times this season, and then now you're just benching him basically all playoffs except garbage time. Like there's no way
Yeah,
Royce O'Neal deserved those minutes over Cam
Cameron Thomas.
Thomas.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous.
I and what's crazy is only fans seem to care about this. I don't see I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, we know ball, we're the only ones talking about this because like other fans have been saying like why doesn't Cameron Thomas play? But like ESPN, like you don't see news or why he doesn't play. It's like everyone care, like all the fans care, but no one actually who can tell us why or find out why they don't care. So it's so odd to see.
Yeah, it might just come down to like they're looking at the efficiency of those 40-point games,
Mhm.
but at the same time, if he's on or he's off, he's like a Karis LeVert type player. Like either he's hitting those shots in rhythm or he's not, and then that's when you bench him. But to not play him at all, like you got swept. You
Yeah.
have nothing to gain by benching this player, but maybe they're not going to see him on the roster moving forward. It kind
That's
of
what it
just
was.
doesn't make sense, but it is what it
Yeah.
is.
It is really confusing, but all right. Celtics Hawks.
Still took care of business, but they did it much longer than I would have hoped. 6 games. That was kind of ridiculous. Plus, Boston fans, I guess, thought they were different by saying the fuck Trey Young pants, and then they won that game. So congratulations for extending that series.
what's what's funny is that like there is no reason why it should have gone to game 6. Like it's not like the Hawks are good and they had like some players pop out here and there, but it just looked like it was just like okay, like what's going on? Why aren't like the Celtics putting them away?
Especially for the Hawks team, Malcolm Brogdon really should have been closing out the games because
Hmm.
it was either Derek White or Marcus Smart closing out the games. And Trey Young probably was getting hampered by Marcus Smart, but Marcus Smart was doing too many turnovers, fouling, like really
Hmm.
dumb fouls. So I know I love Marcus. He's my guy. He's the dog. He's the heart of the team. But at the same time, Malcolm Brogdon, at least from the eye test, felt like was guarding Trey Young more effectively.
Hmm.
And Malcolm Brogdon is also a guy who doesn't force threes and he goes to the rim, and that's the whole point of why we got him. At least I thought so. So
Yeah.
it may have changed the outcome of a certain game, one in particular, but at the end of the day, Celtics still won the series.
Yeah. Gotta be happy with that. All right. Now for me, Nuggets Timberwolves. I don't know how we didn't sweep the Timberwolves, but you know what? I'm the only one here whose team didn't have a game 6. Well, I guess Tyler's Bulls also didn't have a game 6. I'm the only one who didn't have a game 6. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. After beating the Suns, what was it, yesterday? Uh I feel like my my Phoenix in 7 is looking more like uh not so great take. It looks like it might not hold up. But at the same time, I can't be cocky about them beating the Timberwolves because let's be honest, the only reason why that team was even got one over us was because of Ant, and that's literally it. Like,
Yeah, like it really is now Anthony Edwards' team.
oh
Karl-Anthony
yeah.
Towns got to step to the side, especially with Rudy Gobert clogging the paint. Like it kind of really seems like Anthony Edwards has adapted and he's kind of got a Donovan Mitchell-esque game, especially later in the regular season. He kind of shifted, and now he just finds more creative, crafty ways to get to the rim. And although he isn't considered like the most efficient 3-point shooter, he has improved that too. So, I mean, it came into like execution for one game against the Nuggets, but Nuggets took care of business after that.
Yeah. I mean, let's just hope they carry that momentum. But I mean, Jamal Murray once again proving that it's just as much as his team as it is Jokic's. I feel like even Nuggets fans sometimes forget how good Jamal Murray is. Because nowadays a lot of Nuggets fans are just, the Jokic fans, but with Nuggets like tied to them. So I
Yeah,
just feel
that's
like Jamal Murray once again, like showing like, oh, he's actually like he's number two. Like sometimes he's number one. So it's like it's good to see that.
he's another guy where it's like there's a playoff Murray version of him. Because
Oh yeah.
back in the bubble, he was scoring 50, and now he had a 40-point game against the Timberwolves, and then now against the Suns, it was like 38. I'm pretty sure
Yep.
in the W. So he really is a good number two come playoff time.
All right. Suns Clippers. I mean, this is gonna be the one series that low key disappointed me. Like, I wanted an all out battle, but like I don't want to be a hater. But it seems like more and more Kawhi Leonard haters are getting proven right. Like, it's just so sad to see like how little Kawhi Leonard plays basketball.
Yeah, I hope that it goes to show what I've been preaching, and that load management isn't worth it.
Hmm.
Like, this Clippers team had Paul George, Kawhi Leonard on and off the court, either together, single, or just not at all. So they had to like work around that, and then they made trades. So other players coming in, like Bones Highland, would either play or they wouldn't play. And so
Hmm.
there's just like no team chemistry. So, and then come playoff time, Kawhi just gets hurt. Paul George gets hurt, and you don't even get to see that duo do their
Yeah.
thing against the Suns. And was it one game they won? It was
Yeah.
4-1. Yeah, so that really is disappointing. We could talk about what ifs if they played, but I really don't care.
And what's crazy is that Russell Westbrook was like the best player on that team during the playoffs, which is like I'm not gonna say like he's not good enough to be that, but when you have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, there should be no best player. Like there should no be like like LeBron and AD, like you know what I'm saying, Jokic and Jamal Murray, Tatum and Brown. They're all helping each other. Like they're all both putting in the work to win. But Russell Westbrook was the only one who seemed like actually wanted to make it out the first round.
Yeah, there was that one game where Booker had 40 piece, and then Norman Powell had the 40 piece, but in the loss, so like it kind of didn't matter. And then
Yeah.
Powell just wasn't the same after that, and it's kind of just like their own team is fighting for the ball, so they're gonna have to sort themselves out next year.
Yeah, for sure. I hope we can see this Russell Westbrook continue too, because it's good to see him actually like prove all those people who are shitting on him wrong.
Right, like it's so important to have the right system and the right players that just allow him to be Russ. Like the
Mhm.
Wizards did it, Thunder obviously did it, but we've seen where like that can go wrong, like on the Rockets, wasn't able to beat him, and obviously the Lakers, he wasn't allowed to beat him. So I would imagine they re-sign him. I don't see why they
Yeah,
wouldn't.
yeah, for sure. All right, last one. It literally just ended. Warriors beat the Kings in 7.
That was such an exciting series. It's just kind of disappointing how this last game turned out. Was it 20-point lead from the Warriors to end it
Yep.
off? Yeah. So honestly, great like jumping off point for the Kings moving forward. I really thought they were going to dethrone them reigning defensive champs. Like to knock
Mhm.
out a team like that first round, that would have really put their stamp on what that type of team is. And not to say that they don't have anything to show for it now. It's tough to to lose a first round series, but in 7 games adds more sting to it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of crazy that De'Aaron Fox is doing all this like halfway through the series with a broken index finger. So that that's just adds my admiration of a player like that.
Oh yeah, and I would be worried as a Warriors fan. I wouldn't take this series win as like a okay, we're going all the way, because for a team that hasn't made the playoffs in years, but not only that, but like De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Malik Monk, I don't think they've seen playoff time, and they took you to 7.
Yeah.
Like that's a little concerning, especially when you had the 3-2 lead at home. Like,
Yeah, just that team really has, I think, higher ceiling than a team like the Rockets as it stands
mhm,
right now. I know the Rockets got like a new head coach and they're regarded as a team with young talent, but like De'Aaron Fox is still pretty young. Malik Monk is
yeah.
still pretty young. Sabonis isn't like an old head. And then you got guys like Keegan Murray, Davion Mitchell, and those are guys that probably have like a little bit struggles on the offensive end, but they're good defenders. And so it's all about them working towards building their offensive skill set more. So that would be much more interesting to create a more dynamic team, at least on the
Yeah.
offensive side. But honestly, they also surprised me on the defensive side as a team, not just Keegan Murray and Davion Mitchell. Like, there's a reason why this is a 7 game series.
Oh yeah, they showed the world like what kind of team they can be. So I'm excited to see if this wasn't a fluke. If this wasn't a fluke, then the Kings might be around for a while, but we have yet to see. All right, moving on to our main topic, frauds. There were some teams, there were some players who are like, are you actually a playoff guy? Are you actually him? And that's what our topic is today. Do you want to kick us off on?
Okay, I'm gonna start us off with the most obvious player. Okay.
Okay.
He is now the villain of the NBA. Everybody is clowning on him. It's Dylan Brooks.
I
This man,
mean,
who does he think he is? I think he thinks he's the LeBron of the Grizzlies, to be honest, the way he be talking. Like, a no-show. This man, you see that video of him taking practice shots and he was bricking them so bad. Like, I know
mhm.
you got to get into rhythm and all that, but something, I think he was trying to get in LeBron's head, but LeBron fed himself into his head instead. It was something to see.
Yeah, it was just so funny all year long. Just the chatter, the beef, and just to go down like outside like that,
You know,
and also to like just disappear, like not show up, not really like say anything, especially to do that when like he's a free agent, right?
I think so.
So it's
And
like,
I mean, considering how he performed now and his stats are kind of down from like years before, I don't imagine he's going to get a fat contract.
mhm.
And I also can see the Grizzlies moving away from Brooks because this man challenged LeBron. He's like, "You doesn't have my respect unless he scores 40." Well, LeBron's like, "I don't care." Scores 20, gets the W. Dylan Brooks only scores 7 and gets ejected halfway through the game. Like, bro, it really is the whole circus.
I think I think what's crazier is that like it would make sense if you like maybe just sign a contract, or you were like maybe number 2, but to do this during your contract year, and to be just like not really ever have a performance that made anyone go like, hey, he's backing it up all season long. But it's also funny because like it was just like the whole time like he was talking and talking and talking.
Yeah, like the whole like, what do you think about LeBron? He's old.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's so funny. I think what's funny was like LeBron's tweets, like
uh,
s- so funny. LeBron really, I feel like that man should be banned from using an iPhone.
bro, like the Lakers team is so corny. what was AD's quote is it's not fun when the rabbit got the gun. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Y'all okay. You're just becoming Grizzlies 2.0. But it's okay after this one game. But the Grizzlies they've been doing it all year long. So
Yeah.
I can stomach that a lot better than Dylan Brooks jawing at random people for no reason.
Yeah, facts. Draymond Green, of all people, to shit talk.
Draymond Green. Oh, it would have been great to see Grizzlies move on, face this Warriors team, but I guess we're just not gonna get that.
No, we're not. But okay, do you think that the the Lakers have potential after seeing Grizzlies to take out the Warriors, or do you think this might be like a little, maybe like I don't know how to say it. It
Well,
might not continue.
I still think the Warriors should be the favorite,
Hmm.
but the big thing is the Warriors lack size.
Yeah.
So guarding AD is going to be tough. So it's really going to come down to can they control the other players like Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley? Can they limit their guys? And then because LeBron's going to get his 20 and 10, and AD might go off for 30, maybe even 40. But if you keep those other guys off their rhythm, I think they have a shot.
Hmm.
Plus, I mean, I love Kevon Looney. This man is really always like showing me what he's actually made of.
Hmm.
Because he's only like 6'8" playing center, 6'8", 6'9". He's pretty undersized and he's not very athletic. But this man got 22 rebounds against the Kings in one of these games. So he's no slouch when it comes to that. It's just the issue is going to be guarding AD in the mid range because he could potentially just shoot right over Kevon Looney's head. So
Yeah.
that will be the problem, I think.
Yeah. All right. My fraud. Probably also pretty obvious. Everyone in Minnesota but Anthony Edwards. I'm talking coach, owner, ball boy, the people who sued Ant for putting a chair at their feet. They're all frauds. Every single one of them. I mean, what a way to go out. The fact that that Ant was like the only one actually contributing to that team. Cat just officially just like putting the nail in his own coffin. To all season long, kind of try to make it seem like you're the guy. Like, oh yeah, you guys joke around about Popeyes, but that's not funny. We got to stay in shape. And then have the same guy you're like trying to diss carry you to a win. I think Cat as a superstar is like kind of just making himself lose credit because he just keeps doing these things where he keeps trying to portray himself as someone he's not.
Yeah, just look at those interviews where he starts talking down in a really low voice. Like we know it's your real voice sounds like Cat. Like you don't need to try and fake it. Like that's the team. You just don't know where they're gonna go
Oh
moving
yeah.
into the future. Because I feel Anthony Edwards kind of seems like the old school mentality where like if he could, he'll play all 82 games, or if it's possible, he'd like to win with the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
But like if they're gonna struggle year in, year out, I could see him leaving. Especially if it's just silly trades, just ruin the team like the Rudy Gobert trade.
Hmm.
It's just good luck to them. That's all I can really say.
Yes. It's also just like this Rudy Gobert. I think I don't know if I saw this right, but like just expecting to be more a bigger part of the team. And it's like, why do you think you deserve that? During a win or go home, you threw a punch at your teammate.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't try to do more different lineups. I think Gobert would be best suited coming off the bench
Hmm.
because it really disrupts the offense when he's out there. It makes it
Yeah.
hard for Anthony Edwards, even harder for Carl Towns to an extent.
Yeah. Because like he's not used to having another big. Cat was the big. Like they historically had a stretch four. So like to have a guy who just sits in the paint, it's probably so weird for him to like get like he probably isn't used to just having like a guy who's like I don't want to say historic like a classic big or old school big because that sounds disrespectful because Rudy's not even good enough to play with those guys. But like, you know, he kind of has that kind of mentality of like wait for someone to come in for a layup and just jump. Like that's
You're
kind of
right.
what he does. So it's like I just feel like they just gotta find a way to like space out their team,
Yeah. Like,
especially after the Russ trade. Like trading D'Angelo Russell, like you have no one on your team who can actually consistently shoot. Even and that's saying something because Russell wasn't even consistent himself.
yeah, like this was his down year, like the worst he's been since like LA, I think.
Mhm.
And now, like even with him gone, it didn't really help on the shooting side. Although I do like Mike Conley for their playmaking, but he's
Yes.
like 38 years old. Like you can't really expect 30-point games, even 20-point games consistently out of him. He's more of a playmaker than anything else.
Yeah. And he's always has been more of a playmaker, even when he was younger. So it's like expecting him to be like your shooter playmaker at 38,
Yeah.
which is funny too, because there was times where like I was like, he should be on the floor more because it was
Yeah.
just like no one else was just like doing what they should.
Like he's the one who gave him a chance in that play-in game. Like
Oh
when
yeah,
Anthony Davis fouled him, he made all three of them free throws and sent it overtime. And they just couldn't get it done in the end.
yeah. But you know, it's what else should we expect from Minnesota? They've been like historically poverty. All right, fraud team?
Yeah, I gotta say Cavaliers. Like at least when you look at these 4-1 series upsets, at least the Bucks, you could say Giannis basically didn't play 3 games and he wasn't 100%. The Cavaliers were fully healthy, weren't they?
Yeah.
So they had their whole core, and it was just guys not showing up. Like Donovan Mitchell was getting his 20 pieces, but not all of them were efficient. And we didn't see like the Donovan Mitchell getting 50 in the bubble type deal. And then I would say he probably shares the less of the blame because he was getting targeted a lot by the Knicks defense. And it really should have came down to the supporting cast. Garland, he would have some games, but he wasn't there the whole series. Jarrett Allen just really wasn't there. Basically on the offensive end, almost every game it seemed like. And then Evan Mobley, you can make an argument he's only a sophomore, but he struggled to get double digits, and he wasn't his what I thought he was on the defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting beat quite a lot, and it's kind of jarring because when it came down to them defending Jalen Brunson, Brunson was scoring or getting assists almost every possession, it seemed like. So it was kind of like another, like, what do you do moving forward? Like, obviously, you want those younger guys to step up, make it easier for Donovan Mitchell to score as the number one option. But it's just, is that going to happen? Are they going to get the bench they need? So big considerations this offseason for that team.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just odd to see that happen. Like to see how kind of poor they played, especially against a team that they like. Let's be honest. Yeah, the Knicks are a really good team, but like that's a team that was pretty equal on paper. And so it's like to go down like that especially with having a consistent good season. It was just like odd to see from the Cavs. And I guess you could chop it up as like first time in the playoffs, but like it's also like they've beaten better teams before without Donovan Mitchell. So it's just odd to see like how they went out. Do you think that if they were to be back again, it would be different, or do you think they have to change something for it to be different?
No, I mean they gotta change something.
Yeah.
Like I always thought like Karis LeVert was good for them, but he kind of eats up too many shots. Or if he doesn't eat up too many shots, he's just not trying to score at all, it seems like. So I think they got to move on from that type of play style and find more spot up shooters,
Mhm.
possibly some more 3-and-D types, because Karis LeVert is more of an offensive minded player. And then they got other guys like Chetty Osman, who I think he's a third stringer, not a second stringer. Like he's a fringe player.
Yeah.
And I don't even. Oh, Okoro. I think he's young enough to be able to turn into a 3-and-D type player because he is so young. He's like what 22 or something like that, and
Mhm.
I don't think the expectation was as big for him as it was for like Mobley and Garland. But I think potentially, if he does become that 3-and-D shooter, he could become one of the most impactful on the court. And I don't even know where it comes for like what free agents they should sign, like specifically,
Yeah.
but they do need to add something.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I feel like for a team that's still kind of new, like this is their first year all together with Donovan Mitchell and that stuff like that. I think an addition will only help. Like it won't hurt at all. Like go out there, make a move, you know. Just try to build off this season and this chemistry and just try to make it better.
Yeah, like the only issue come free agency is they're Cleveland, right? It's not
Oh
a
yeah.
top free agent destination. So it may come down to like if they have to force some trades to make something happen. So
Yeah,
they're one to keep your eye on.
for sure. And like we've seen it before where they've done something crazy. So like
Yeah.
who knows what's gonna happen this off season. All right. My player, even though their team won the series, I'm saying Jordan Poole. He 12 points with 24% shooting from the three. And I'm not gonna lie, I was gonna say Draymond Green, but I feel like that was too easy. Ha ha ha, Draymond Green bad, triple single. Like, that was the easy road to take. But Jordan Poole, and I'm gonna give him some kind of a pass because like there's been more and more clips of him clearly not wanting to be on that team. There's like that game 6 loss where he's walking back to the locker room and Draymond Green tries to talk to him, pat him on the back, and he like shoves Draymond Green off of him. So it's like it could be that he's not over the whole punching thing, and like I wouldn't be either. It's been a while. It's been a while since it happened, but I feel like something like that would only make you more angry as time goes by.
Yeah. Like you get punched in the face by a guy and then later in the year he's trying to like put his hands on you and like motivate you for like a series that you're already struggling mentally with. It's probably just like a fight within himself.
Yeah.
So,
Also, to see the reports throughout the years of him wanting the super max, and if he doesn't get it, he's for sure out of there. Like, it's just probably just like a lot of stuff, but also at the same time, 12 points and 24% from the three. Like,
yeah, of the 7 games, I think he only scored one 20-point game, and it wasn't super efficient, wasn't terrible either.
yeah,
But like for him, he's there for scoring off the bench, and he really wasn't. He was getting outplayed by Malik Monk. Like Malik Monk, he was having a historic 6-man playoff this series.
yeah,
Like was averaging 18 off the first 4 games, which was like
mhm,
the first time a 6-man ever did that. So Uh, hopefully, moving forward in this Lakers game, he could be more of a factor, especially considering on the Lakers backcourt, they're not the greatest defensively either.
Yeah.
So you got Shooter and then D'Lo. So that's where he's really gonna have to exploit.
Yeah, it's also odd to think about how he was a key factor in them winning the ship last year, gets paid, at the beginning of the season is the main reason why they weren't as disastrous as they were. And then like come the time where the reason why you got that bag in the first place was because you show you can perform in the playoffs, and you just kind of struggle all series against a team that's also not like defensive minded to say. So it was just odd to see that like you got paid because you can play in the playoffs, and here you are not playing in the playoffs.
I will say De'Aaron Fox and Davion Mitchell probably got to be one of the best, like 6'1" defensive guards out there.
Mhm.
Considering if you have a 6 foot guard, you're not expecting defense from them, but they put a lot of effort into it and they throw guys off the rhythm, whether it's
Yeah,
dribbling or forcing a bad shot. So props to them for this series.
yeah. I'm not Dylan Brooks fraud yet with Jordan Poole. I think this series against the Lakers will probably show. I'm also not Klay Thompson hating, like as in like just hating on him because he's not as good as he once was, as some people
No,
have been with Klay Thompson.
he he's just as good as he once was come this
Yeah,
season. Like last year, he had to get into the rhythm. He was still a 20-point scorer, not as efficient as he used to be. But this year, he's been back. This series, I guess you could make a justification for some games of him not being where he should be. Mostly on the defensive end, I would say, because he gets beat a lot, unlike, you know, pre-injury Clay.
yeah,
So I guess that's the one thing you could harp on consistently. But I mean, they did win this series, so I
yeah.
don't think
That's
they're sore about it.
yeah. That's why I'm not like going all in on Jordan Poole because like they still won the series. Like
Yeah.
even though it was mostly because of Steph Curry's 50 piece that they won the series. Like I think I was looking at the stats and no one scored over 20 points, if I'm not mistaken. I had to double check that.
But one thing to add is Jordan Poole hasn't been talking like Brooks has.
Oh
Like,
no.
not only okay, yeah, you were right for the Warriors. The second highest scorer next to Curry's 50 is Andrew Wiggins' 17 points.
Yeah. I think Jordan Poole only scored like I don't even think he scored 10 this game.
He scored 8.
God. Like, let's be honest. Like, if we'll save that for later. Anyways, yeah, I'm not saying like he's Dylan Books, welcome to China, like fraud level, but I'm saying if I'm a Warriors fan and the second series is basically the same as the first series, I'm looking at that money you just gave to Jordan Poole, and I'm like, was it a little too soon to give it to him?
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, we're about 50 minutes in, so I think we're going to go to our second round predictions. And since we started off with the East, let's kick it off with West, starting with Lakers Warriors.
Lakers, Warriors. Okay. Considering the Warriors don't have enough size and you just don't know if Poole is going to be hitting the shots, I still think they're favorites, but I'm going to say it's another 7-game series here.
Yeah, I think if Steph Curry had to drop 50 just to beat the Kings, and that was their first time in their playoffs for a long time, I'm thinking against the Lakers, it's a little bit more sketchy. So I think I'm gonna say Lakers in 7.
Lakers in 7. That is kind of crazy. That this Lakers team wasn't even making play-in, and now
Mhm.
they're in the second round of playoffs. So I don't
It could
blame you
probably go to
for
Western Conference Finals.
maybe it's possible, but this is actually a really exciting series.
Oh yeah,
I would have liked if it was either Grizzlies Warriors, but also Lakers Warriors isn't a bad one either,
yeah.
considering we're getting a Steph Curry versus LeBron in the second round of playoffs.
Oh yeah. I think it's gonna be one of the must watch, but I also think if it was if it was Kings Warriors, I don't think I would have been a must watch personally. So I am kind of happy that the Lakers won, that the Lake Warriors won, because I think that's gonna be a better series than the Kings Lakers. But also for my own prediction, I'm kinda hurt. I got the games right, just didn't get the team. All right. I think Nuggets Suns.
Okay. The Suns struggle with their bench, whereas at least the Nuggets have been together. They know fully what their personnel is capable of.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna say Nuggets in 6. I've I've fully believe in the Nuggets, even though you won't to make that finals. uh, just the things I've seen from this playoffs is DeAndre Ayton, as good of a center as he is, really doesn't fight for rebounds as much as he should.
Mhm.
And as much as it is difficult for the Kevin Durant, Devin Booker pick and roll is to guard, you can't just have a 30 piece from KD and Booker and win every single game.
Yeah.
X factor really going to come down to DeAndre Ayton. Will Chris Paul score multiple 20-point games? It's a lot to consider. Whereas the Nuggets, I feel like Jokic can just do his thing. Murray can be the number 2 option as always. And then, you got Brown, Aaron Gordon being defensive pests, and then Michael Porter Jr., I think would be the greatest X factor, whether he's scoring 20 or 30 and doing his business on the defensive end. So I'm just more confident about the Nuggets doing their thing with however long they've been together as a core team, whereas the Suns, I still think, are trying to figure some things out.
Yeah. See, if I was a two-timey chasing the bag type of guy, I would probably switch up. But I'm sticking by my guns. I'm sticking with past Angel, and I'm still saying Suns in 7. But I feel like I only said Suns in 7 because I think the Suns would choke a lot of games. Now I'm saying Suns in 7 because the Nuggets are good enough to beat the Suns. But I'm still gonna say Suns in 7. But the Nuggets, I mean, they're just an inconsistent playoffs team, so that's why I doubted them at first. But it looks like for once, like Aaron Gordon isn't shooting bad threes. Jamal Murray is healthy. Jokic is Jokic. So it looks like for once that we have a chance, but I don't know. I've been burned by the Nuggets so many times in my life. So I don't know. I don't want to switch up just for them to end up losing. So I'm sticking by my guns and saying Suns in 7. All right. Celtics Sixers.
Uh, I think the Sixers are going to win. No,
What?
no, that would be a betrayal. I'm gonna say Celtics in 6, only because you don't know if Embiid is playing game 1. At
Mhm.
least I don't at the time of recording. Also, every time the Celtics have played the Sixers in the Jason Tatum era, the Sixers get stomped out, and you don't know what you're getting from Harden. Is he going to really show up and be full all-star Harden? Is he going to be like take 1 million dribbles Harden? Like, I don't know what his play style is going to be against the Celtics defense. So that's why I'm going to say Celtics in 6.
I'm gonna agree with you. I think having Embiid out possibly for that first game, and especially because it's a knee thing. If he's out that first game, it's highly doubtful he'll be out for game. Like he'll be there for game 2. So I think the Celtics with Tatum and Brown, like and Brogdon, like I feel like they're a lot more deeper than they were last year. So I feel like they have a better chance of just taking care of business. But not only that, but like, yes, Harden is playing a lot differently than normally. So like, I think that's why it might be like 2 games. But it's also like Embiid is the heart of that team. Like the reason why Embiid plays so differently now is because he was molding his game around Embiid. So like, I just don't think without Embiid they can really put up that much of a fight. But I'm still gonna say 6 just because you never know. I don't want to discredit the Sixers.
Yeah, I mean that Sixers team still got guys like Maxey and Tobias Harris who are 20, 30-point threats.
Mm-hmm.
Plus you got PJ Tucker playing defense. So it's not going to be an easy series. I think we'll have some good close games, but
Yeah.
if it gets to 7 games, I'll be frustrated as a Celtics fan.
Yeah, that would be kind of scary because like game 7s, no matter who's playing in them, are always up for grabs. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Plus they got a good like test series come the Hawks because they've got that Trae Young and Murray backcourt, which kind of similar in the broadest of strokes to the Maxey and Harden
yeah,
backcourt because you got Trae Young always draws fouls, and then similarly Harden does the same, and then you got the secondary scorer who puts all his effort into defense in Murray, and then Maxey tries to do the same, although he's not quite as tall as DeJounte Murray, which might be the advantage. He is a lot faster, I would say, so that will be the issue.
yeah. It's gonna be another exciting series. I don't think any of the second round series are gonna be boring. I had some people who didn't watch a lot of the first round, and I was kind of like, "You're insane." So if you're also not watching a lot of the second round, you're even crazier because a lot of these series are must watch. All right, and then lastly, Knicks Heat.
This, I don't know who's coming out. Like, I know we saw Jimmy Butler just dismantle the Bucks, but at the same time now he's doing it on a hurt ankle,
Mm-hmm.
and you got probably a more complete team in the Knicks, considering they have Brunson, they have RJ Barrett, who's actually showed up for the playoffs. You know, once upon a time he was he was probably in the running for biggest fraud come playoff time, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, he's had his playoff career high like game 3 or 4 or something against the Cavs, so he has been there. Plus you got Julius Randle once he comes back healthy. Josh Hart really has become a good X factor for them. Like for a guy his size, he's rebounding a lot, and then hitting his threes. Not even just catch and shoot threes. They were some tough threes against the Cavs team. So he's
Yeah.
been there. You got Quentin Grimes if he comes back from injury, who was really good against the Cavs as well. And then of course Emmanuel Quickly. So there's a lot more scoring punch on that Knicks team as opposed to the Bucks team, who really, when one guy was hitting, as in Drew Holiday, one guy would be off, like Chris Middleton, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
Brook Lopez is hitting all the shots. Bobby Portis isn't hitting all the shots. But I
Yeah.
think the Knicks have more equal footing when it comes to that. There is never one true like guy you have to focus on. Like they could do that to Brunson, but he's such a good passer that it's really going to like dissect that Heat team. But if the Heat hit their 3-pointers, like I know this game 1 they have been doing, Duncan Robinson has found a shooting stroke yet again in the last series. So that's why I'm just gonna say it's a 7-game series for the Knicks.
So Knicks in 7.
Knicks in 7.
I I also was gonna say Knicks in 7, basically for the same reason they do, but almost also because I think Jimmy Butler was also going against a team that, like, in hindsight, like now knowing what we know, was going against a team who was also just having one player constantly do good and no one else not really. But now that he's going against the Knicks, who have almost all of them are doing really, really well, like I don't think he'll be enough. As long, but I will say if Bam does the opposite of what he normally does and not disappear in the playoffs, I feel like the Heat can actually. I think that he can for sure take it. But right now, it's just looking like the Knicks just have a lot more weapons than the Bucks, and that just Jimmy going off isn't going to be enough. And I think the Knicks are going to go take it in 7 because, just like I said, like Jimmy might push it to 7, but I don't think he'll be enough to win in 7.
Yeah, I think this playoff series, I think coaching wise, might be the biggest battle because you got Spoelstra versus Thibodeau, and I think those guys are more prepped for playoffs rather than as a regular season coach because this will be
Yeah,
a game of adjustments. Game 1, Heat have already taken the dub, but I'm sure they're already drawing something up in the film room to combat what the game plan was, last game. Like as I said
yeah,
before, the Heat were actually hitting their threes, even though all season long that's where they were struggling from. So if they can make them struggle next game, it might be another Jimmy 50 piece coming on that hurt ankle because it's going to be rough.
yeah. I would like to say though that Kyle Lowry actually came up in game 1 and like was really performing. So if like kind of what we both said, if everyone on the Heat can kind of do what Jimmy's doing, I'm not saying score 50, but like just actually start performing better, I think yeah, the Heat can definitely take the series. But it's just that case that right now Jimmy's the only one who's being consistent. So it's just like I think that's just not good enough to compete against a complete team such as the Knicks. All right. One last question for you, Vaughn, because I know you've seen this. What do you think of all the people who saw the Lakers in the Heat 1 and say the bubble wasn't a fluke after all? How do you feel about that?
I mean, what was their justification for all that? Like it was them coming off a short season, a short off season. Like they had like a month of rest going into that next season, and it's like, oh, they're struggling. I wonder why. Probably because they're exhausted. And now, like, even you can't really even say both those teams are the same as they were in the bubble
That was
because
my take.
they've added so much different pieces. Like even Kyle Lowry is a new piece. Gabe Vincent and Max Strus weren't the dudes back
Yeah.
then. They were still two-way players. And then you got the Lakers side. The only people who are from that bubble team are AD and LeBron.
Yeah.
So
Some of them aren't even in this country. That was my take. Is that one? I was also already a person who never thought it was a fluke because, like, you're still playing basketball and you're still going to have to go against good teams. Like, I don't care. It's not like it's you. It's not like it was like the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Iowa River Cats or something like no, it was still an NBA team with NBA players. But also, it was like it was 3 years ago. Like you can't say that. You can't say it wasn't a fluke when all they did was win a first round series.
yeah,
Like let's say it wasn't a fluke when they're both in the finals. But like to say it wasn't a fluke 3 years after the fact after first round wins, it's like come on. We're stretching here. This is just media just doing what they do best and overreacting on things.
yeah. I can't imagine how it'd be like if the Lakers and Heat both make it to the finals again. Like
Yeah.
social media would be sickening.
Oh, yeah. It will be awful. It will be so looks like who will actually get the real ring. Like, like I can see it now. Whose ring is more real, the Heat or the Lakers? Like,
Oh yeah,
but
if the Heat beat the Lakers in
oh
this
yeah.
year's finals, oh my God. Like there will be an argument in every unrelated NBA post for months.
Oh yeah, no, every basketball podcast in the world would fucking cover that topic. But whatever. Anyways, I just wanted to get your opinion on that because that was everywhere after the Lakers beat the Grizzlies. It was the LeBron tweets and those posts. All right, that's probably what we're gonna call it. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. We are on all podcast platforms, so make sure you give us that good old 5 stars. Let us know what you think. Review us, even if you hate us. If you're a Dylan Brooks fan, let us know how dumb we are. We are on all social media platforms, so check us out there at Spin the Rock. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next week.
Yes, sir.